This fun, colorful e-bike is the Cosmo 2.0. It's one of the latest commuter style e-bikes from Magnum. So does its ride match its looks? Let's take a ride and find out. Hey fellow e-bikers, I'm John with Electric Bike Report, and I want to remind you really quickly to hit that subscribe button down below, especially if you're in the market for an e-bike. We review all kinds of e-bikes, we have new videos coming out a couple times a week, and we also have more e-bike giveaways planned, so if those things sound good to you, hit that bell icon as well so you can be the first to know. So probably the most obvious feature of the Cosmo 2.0 is its bright, cheery paint job. The color of our test bike is called Coral, but the bike's also available in Cobalt Blue, Calypso Green, Midnight Blue, and Pearl White. We test all kinds of bikes that basically just come in black, white, or varying shades of gray, so we really liked the vibrant color options, and also just the overall contemporary design of the bike. The Cosmo 2.0's character isn't something that translates through the screen, but we really liked that as well. This is a Class 2 e-bike with both its throttle and pedal-assisted speeds limited to 20 miles per hour, and we found that even at its maximum speed, the Cosmo just felt really relaxed and casual. It's almost like a beach cruiser without the swept-back handlebars. The bike has a 500-watt rear hub motor that uses a cadence sensor, so you can pedal with some effort to add your own leg power to the ride, but you also have the option of just soft pedaling, taking it easy, and letting the bike do most of the work for you. To add to the leisurely experience, we thought the Cosmo was just generally very comfortable, and it's also pretty customizable in terms of fit. We really liked the Velo Gel Comfort saddle and the shape of the ergonomic grips. And with an adjustable stem and 10 inches of range in the saddle height, we found it really easy to find a comfortable riding position. Magnum says the bike can fit riders 5 foot and up. I'm 5'11", and I liked having a bit more of an upright posture, but you can adjust things like your handlebar height and your reach as long as you have an Allen wrench. The Cosmo 2.0 comes with a 48 volt, 624 watt hour battery, which is integrated into the down tube. That's painted to match the frame, and I really liked the LED indicator lights that show how much charge the battery has without having to turn on the bike. The battery is currently UL 2271 certified, with the full bike currently in progress for UL 2849 certification. The frame itself is another really nice highlight though. With the step-through design and a standover height of 16 inches, it's really easy to get on or off the bike without having to swing a leg over the saddle. There's a super easy to use 7-speed Shimano drivetrain on the bike as well that's controlled by a Revo Shift twist shifter on the right handlebar. We always have good experiences with that system. And the bike comes with the Tektro E350 hydraulic disc brakes on 180mm rotors. There are 26-inch wheels with 2.35-inch CST street tires, and then there's an SR Suntour front suspension with 80mm of travel. The cockpit layout puts all the essential controls within reach. There's a thumb-operated throttle lever next to the small button panel on the left handlebar. There's a button for the electronic horn next to the shifter, and then right in the middle, there's the standard black and white Magnum branded LCD screen that shows speed, battery charge, pedal assist level, a power meter for the motor, an odometer, and even a clock. The bike comes pretty well outfitted for commuting as well. There's an integrated headlight, a tail light under the rear cargo rack, the rack itself, which can hold up to 55 pounds, and fenders on both wheels. That should cover all the major specs and components though, so let's dive into our test results and show you how the Cosmo 2.0 stacks up. To make sure the Cosmo 2.0's brakes were safe and effective, we pedaled the bike up to its max speed, hit the brakes, and then measured the distance it traveled as it came to a stop. We repeated that process 3 times and then used the data from each test to calculate an average stopping distance of 23 feet and 9 inches. Right now, our average for all of the commuter and cruiser style e-bikes we've tested is 22 feet 1 inch. So this bike was definitely a little slower in comparison, but we've tested the Tektro E350 system on a ton of different bikes before, and the Cosmo's result first was right about what we expected based on previous experience, and second was still within our range of expected results. We also evaluate brakes just on how they feel, and overall I think the bike did a good job. The rear tire tended to squeal fairly loudly when I braked really hard, but otherwise I didn't notice anything that seemed out of whack. Let's take the Cosmo 2.0 out for a speed test and a throttle acceleration test to see how fast it can go and how quickly the throttle can reach 20 miles per hour. I'll see you back again shortly to go over the results. Okay, so we are here on the Magnum Cosmo 2.0 to do a speed test, and I'm pedaling here with no help from the motor, going around 11 miles per hour pretty comfortably. I'm gonna bump it up to eco mode here, and there's not anything happening, and that's because the motor in this setting only assists up to about 7.5 or 8 miles per hour. But if I kick it up to tour mode, you can hear the motor there. That is bringing us up to about 12 miles per hour. And one thing here is that in each setting, the motor does kind of give you a little extra boost, and then it sort of backs off a little bit for like a steady cruising speed. So you can see here, we're kind of going a little bit closer to 11.5 or between 11.5 and 12 miles per hour. Let's jump to sport mode. A nice little kick there. Able to shift up a couple gears. You can see we hit about 16 miles per hour there, and then it's back down to about 15.5. Morning. We get around here, morning. And then finally, turbo mode. Another pretty good kick there from the motor, shifting up to 7th gear, which is the top gear here. And you know, we hit 20 miles per hour cruising there, and then kind of backing down just under that for the most part. And that is the class 2 speed limit on this bike. Any of the speeds, you know, you can pedal faster with just your leg power, but soft pedaling like I'm doing now, that's kind of where you're gonna end up. So let's go see how the throttle performs. Okay, so we are here on the Magnum Cosmo 2.0 to do a throttle acceleration test from 0 to 20, going by the bike's display there. So let's go in 3, 2, 1, now. All right, building fairly slowly, I like that. Not too punchy. Now building quicker, and 20. So one of the side effects of the cadence sensor I mentioned earlier is the fact that the bike is essentially programmed with different speed limits in each PAS setting. It's possible to go over those limits with your own leg power, but except in one spot, I was just soft pedaling to show you what those limits were. With only my leg power, I had the bike moving at 11.1 miles per hour, which didn't change when I kicked the bike up to its lowest pedal assist setting, eco mode. I found that the motor there didn't really contribute to anything above 7.5 or 8 miles per hour, so it wasn't even turning on since I was already going faster. In tour mode, I hit a maximum of 12.1 miles per hour, but that was just kind of a temporary boost. The actual cruising speed was 11.8 miles per hour. My cruising speed in sport mode was 15.6, while turbo mode was 19.9 miles per hour. In both of those cases, the pattern was the same, where initially the motor kicked up faster by a few tenths of a mile per hour for a little boost before it backed down a little bit. The throttle was the same. It also exceeded 20 miles per hour for a few seconds before settling back down to that limit. So if we factor in the maximum speed of the motor in eco mode, the Cosmo's power levels are really evenly distributed across its PAS settings. So as you move up into a higher setting, The amount of additional power you get is exactly what you expect, and that's exactly what we like to see. I personally wouldn't have minded if eco mode had a bit more power, but I also understand that some riders prefer going a little bit slower, so with that in mind, I think the bike is set up very well. For those who like going fast, the bike can be unlocked to Class 3 mode through the settings menu. This can add 1 or 2 additional PAS settings to bring the bike's speed up to a maximum of 25 miles per hour. To see how long the Cosmo 2.0's battery would last in our range test, we rode the bike in eco mode and turbo mode until the bike ran out of juice. Strava kept track of our mileage in each test, which ended up between 37.9 and 49.5 miles. Our tests took between 2 hours and 3 minutes and 4 hours and 45 minutes. So as far as time goes, I think there's some good incentive to conserve battery power and ride a little slower. In terms of distance, our eco mode results were on the shorter end of average when compared to similar models we've tested, but the bike's battery capacity was also on the low end, so in reality it did really well. The turbo mode results were great though, which showed that the bike was way more efficient than we expected. We estimated about 1 hour and 15 minutes for that test with a result of around 25 miles, so the bike gave us about 60% more time and 52% more distance than its motor and battery specs suggested. Bottom line, you can definitely expect the bike's range to cover a long commute or quite a few shorter casual rides. And even if you want to ride at top speed, you're still going to be able to cover a lot of ground on a single charge. As with every e-bike we review, Justin did a hill test with the Cosmo 2.0 at Hellhole Trail. I'll pass you over to him so he can share his thoughts as he tested the throttle and the pedal assist system in turbo mode.
Okay, I am on the Magnum Cosmo doing the throttle test. It's a rear hub motor, so we're gonna see how it does starting out down to about 9 miles per hour. That's kind of the level where we start to question, is it going to make up or not? So maybe let's hold your breath and see how long you can go. Down to about 6, under 6. Hear the motor kind of kicking in, kind of maybe some lower end torque, kind of grunting along there. Right down just below 5. But I think it's going to make it up through this first steep section, and usually, again, if they make it up through there, they usually make it up top. This is a pretty comfortable, kind of more upright, cruiser style bike. So sometimes they're not, they purposely don't make these like crazy too powerful. So if it makes it up hellhole on throttle, if you need a brake, you'll be able to go. Motor so far pretty quiet. Again, I'm going slower, so sometimes that happens. I'll let you listen through this hill section and let's see how it does. See if it's going to make it. Come on. 3.8, 3.9. Oh, I think we're golden. I think we're good. Okay, unless something, I've jinxed this before, so hopefully I'm not jinxing you, Cosmo, but I think it's going to make it. Motor's pretty quiet, even as I've kind of increased the speed a little bit there. Through that last section, got down to 3.8, 3.7 miles per hour. But it's still, yeah, we are gonna make it. And it is picking up speed, and the motor's still quiet. So I hear kind of the chainring, actually, kind of the gears spinning more than I do the motor, which is kind of nice. Kind of more natural sound to it. So let's go to the tape and see how this did. Okay, back on the Magnum Cosmo now with the pedal test. So we'll see how it does again with that rear hub. I'm kind of more soft pedaling here, not putting a ton in. Right now we're at in 5th gear. And down to about 10 miles an hour climbing this hill. Shifting pretty decent going uphill with this Revo shift. Down about 8.5, 8.6. Down to just below 8, because I think we're gonna kind of end up being here. So again, a little input from me, not a ton. Motor still sounds pretty quiet. So I'm liking that sound of the motor quite a bit on this Magnum. See if you can hear it all as I kind of be quiet. Yeah, so through that last steep section, got down to 7.8, shifted down to second gear. Still not having to pedal very hard. It's not going to be a barn burner time-wise, is my guess, as I've kind of been in that like 9 to 10, 11 miles an hour range, kind of averaging. We'll see where it ends up. But overall, nice, comfortable, decent feeling motor, and nice and quiet, so I really like that. So yeah, let's go see kind of how the results come in.
So the bike didn't blast up the hill by any means, but it definitely did the job in both tests. With just throttle power, Justin reached the top in 2 minutes and 8 seconds with an average speed of 8.5 miles per hour. His pedal test results were 1 minute and 33 seconds at 11.7 miles per hour. Both of these results are on the slow side when compared to similar bikes with 500-watt rear hub motors, but this was actually an interesting case. A few months ago, we tested a bike with exactly the same motor specs and very similar tires, riding position, and overall weight. Both motors had a peak of 750 watts and a maximum of 55 Newton meters of torque. The Cosmo was slower on the hill test, but showed greater efficiency in our range test. So basically its motor is tuned to use energy a bit slower, and that makes it a little less zippy when it comes to hills. Regardless, the bike succeeded in both tests, and that does not always happen. So it effectively gives you a choice in how you want to deal with hills. If you don't mind moving a bit slower, the motor can do all of the heavy lifting for you, but with just a little added leg power, you can conquer just about anything. Let's go out on the Cosmo 2.0 one more time for a show and tell about its ride quality. We'll come back here shortly and wrap things up. Okay, so we are here on the Magnum Cosmo to show you what it's like to ride. This is a sort of leisurely commuter bike, I'd say. I have it set to a pretty upright riding position at the moment, but you get quite a lot of adjustability here, and that's really important just because there is only a single size frame, and that is made to fit riders 5 foot and up. So I'm 5'11", and I have the adjustable stem here set pretty vertically for that. That's a comfortable spot for me. But you know, if you want a little bit more of a forward lean, you can do that. As long as you have an Allen wrench, you can adjust your reach, your handlebar height, and if you loosen up the stem, the top here, there's a tiny bit of rise to the handlebars, so you could change the feel a little bit with that as well. But you know, very comfortable ride overall. You have a suspension fork up front that is made by SR Suntour. It has 80 millimeters of travel to kind of help smooth out the ride. And then, you know, gotta say, I like the tires here. They are made by CST. They are 26 inch by 2.35. And you know, feels like there's pretty good stability from those. Definitely made for more paved surfaces. But you know, just the size of wheel there gives you really good maneuverability and handling as well. But then let's finally talk about the motor. It is a 500 watt rear hub motor that uses a cadence sensor. So I'm going to show you the engagement speed here. I'm kind of just coasting. I have it kicked up to turbo mode, and I'll tell you when I'm going to move the pedals so you can hear how fast the motor engages. So let's do that now. I don't know if you actually heard the motor kick in. It's pretty quiet at first, and then it sort of builds a little bit more steadily. But you know, probably about a half second of delay for that to kick in. Pretty responsive, good feel, and then you know, nice amount of power for a leisurely ride. So let's jump back to the studio and talk about those things a little bit more. So again, comfort and adjustability are definitely some of the main features here, but I think the overall takeaway for me was just how relaxing the ride was. Even when I was riding around at top speed, the bike didn't really feel like it was going that fast, and it just felt like a great bike to take out for a leisurely evening ride. Ease of use is another thing I want to focus on here. Earlier, I mentioned the 4 PAS settings that come standard, and I think that's a big deal. We tend to prefer bikes with 3 or 4 streamlined settings, especially on Class 1 or 2 e-bikes, and I actually really liked Magnum's approach of adding additional PAS settings to increase the bike's speed up to 25 miles per hour. I think the standard setup is perfect for those who want to use the bike simply for fun, and I think commuters will really appreciate the extra speed with the bike unlocked. Overall, we really liked the Cosmo, but we have just a couple of points of critique. Most importantly, we're always glad to see integrated lights, but on a commuter bike, we think it's really important to also have brake light functionality. Turn signals would be great too, but brake lights are kind of the bare minimum, and we challenged Magnum to take that step on the next version of the bike. Quite a bit less important is the display and cable management. We love the bright colors and the overall design, but the black and white display feels a bit out of place with such a fun vibe. Adding a full color display and cleaning up the cables just a bit would really just be a chef's kiss. Getting into nitpicky territory, I'd personally like to see a chain guard since the chain ring sticks out above the V in the frame, but I'm happy to just stick with the more important stuff. Again, critique aside, the ride quality here was really great, and the personality of this bike was pretty fun and refreshing. Getting to the soul of every bike is always my goal, and the Cosmo 2.0 made that really easy. It's definitely a commuter bike in terms of its design, its specs, and its accessories, but underneath all of that, it's got the heart of an easygoing beach cruiser. Can it get you to work and back every day? Of course. Is it also well suited to just going out for a spin to take in the sights and de-stress a little? Absolutely. With that in mind, I think its personality also came through in our testing. It has really solid range, and it's capable across the board when it comes to climbing hills, stopping effectively, and giving you the right amount of speed. This is a bike that will get you where you're going, but that also encourages you to stop and smell the roses. We'd suggest that Magnum include brake lights on the next iteration of the bike, and a color screen and improved cable management would be the icing on the cake. But overall, this is a great bike. We think it's an excellent choice for anyone with a similarly colorful style, so if that's you, we'll leave a link to Magnum's website down in the video description. We ask that you use that link if you decide to make a purchase, as it won't cost you anything extra, but it does help to support us, and it lets us know you found our review helpful. We'll include another link to our written review in case you want more detail about our tests, but otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Again, I'm John with Electric Bike Report, and this is the Magnum Cosmo 2.0.